in the city, HSBC began 160 years before. You've always shaped the future of finance. Now, as AI continues to lead and reshape everything around us, creating both fraud threats but also new possibilities, we have the blueprint to ensure HSBC continues to lead right here where it all started. Good afternoon, judges. Together, we're Prosper Consulting, and we stand here today to show you how can HSBC tackle against the AI fraud. As the banking industry faces rapid advancements of AI, creating threats from deepfake technologies, it leads to the main focus of our case today. How can HSBC stay ahead of the rapidly evolving AI-powered fraud threats? To get started, let me introduce to you Elle. Elle is an HSBC client who is currently a top target for fraudster. In order to help Elle out and protect her, let's start looking into her journey into three main phases. Pre-phase, when the transaction has not yet been completed. During phase, when the completed transaction goes through the fraud detection system to be approved. And lastly, the post-phase. Starting with the pre-phase, Elle is posed to two main types of fraud, starting with the authorized push payment fraud, where the scammer tricked her into sending them money. And the second type of fraud, account takeover fraud, where the scammer illegally have access into her account. After looking deeper into these two types of fraud, with the first one, people often overestimate their ability to detect this AI fraud. However, only 20% of those are accurate, while the second type of account takeover fraud is a passive victim, which is hard to expect. This presents HSBC the first opportunity, leading to the question, what preventive defenses can HSBC build to stop authorized push payment fraud? Now, as we have looked into the pre-phase, let's move on to the during phase of fraud detection system, which is composed of three main layers. Starting off with the first one, dynamic risk assessment. It gives each transaction a risk score based on low, medium, and high. Low transactions are approved, while medium transactions are sent to the second layer for verification from customers. Either it's through SMS or in-app verification. However, unverified transactions in this process are sent to the last layer of human-in-loop along with high-risk transactions for human-like fraud analysts in order to approve or either reject this transaction. After looking deeper into this analysis, we have identified an opportunity. What we're going to do is we will aim to improve the efficiency of the top two layers as it automatically reduces the amount of transaction that would reach layer 3. By solving the top two layers, this presents a solution that you will be able to address the actual root cause and not the end stream. Additionally, HSBC have continual investment in training its human in the human-in-loop. Therefore, addressing the top two stage of dynamic risk verifications and verification process should be our first priorities, presenting our second strategy. How can HSBC enhance the efficiency of its dynamic risk assessment and verification process? Proudly presenting to you the CODE strategy, bringing HSBC beyond the evolving AI threats with Get, Set, and Sail.
For our search strategies, we see that our customer, L, or it's me, is the first gauge that AI needs to protect. So it leads to our first question on what strategic movement HSBC must do to protect its customers. If we're actually doing the current practice in banking industry, especially in the APEC area, we can see that customer awareness and customer educations lie in the common practice, but this proven ineffective. So what HSBC should do to protect its customers and be the leaders in this innovation? Based on our evaluation criteria, based on feasibilities and impact, we choose to deprioritize 5 main strategies, and what we want to keep an eye on is just-in-time warning with a real-time risk assessment with explanation AI. So how exactly will it work? For L, our HSBC client, before she clicked the confirm transaction in HSBC application, our internal model will use auto input to do real-time assessment. If all her transactions is flagged as a potential fraud, she will get a push notification in the application. We have detected unusual activities in the payment, and this may be a scam. Our customers may have a chance to click at the report to see of the explanation or all the rationale behind why AI has flagged this transaction as a potential fraud by checking on our customers' behavioral as well as previous histories. By doing this, we can make sure that we can help our customer L just in time before her submit her transaction into the system. But what if an unknown people hack into her phone and log into her account? We're seeing that dynamic risk assessment is the first gate that all the transaction needs to be through. So we're seeing that it's also vital for HSBC to improve the accuracies of its dynamic risk assessments, which rely on 3 key pillars. Model selection. We're seeing that having the right model is proving the winning strategies, but without a proper model fine-tunings and performance monitorings, the model is useless. If we're seeing the current positioning map in industry right now, HSBC is currently at the base state of art, owning the top 3 golden models in the industry. Therefore, the problem still lies on the 2 pillars, model tunings and performance monitoring. For model tunings, we've seen that HSBC still have the fragmented data as well as underutilized of parameters information. Therefore, we suggest HSBC to suggest 4 main data sources that they could acquire from. We should prioritize internal data migrations as we see is loaded value added as the RAG AI is able to pull out the data from any data type. We choose to prioritize non-bank partnership as we see a large risk right on data privacies, as well as domestic bank partnerships which are currently HSBC doing right now with Bank of China and Standard Chartered, based on 2 main problems. The first one, we're seeing that Bank of China is limited on geographical operations, especially in China, as well as Standard Chartered, who have an element in the retail banking. So what proven the best opportunity for HSBC is Wolfberg Groups. What exactly is Wolfberg? Wolfberg is an association.
Can I ask a question? On the previous slide, how do you think about the customer here? I.e., you can verify every transaction 5 times by a different app or in-app confirmation or a message or whatsoever.
Okay.
Do you think those customers will stay with us if we ask them 5 times for a $5 transaction, which could be fraudulent? I'm not disputing that. How have you balanced that in your analysis?
We're seeing that our customers is actually proven the first gate that we're seeing. We're trying to balance the accuracy of the AI as well as the customer experience. What are we trying to do to make sure that our customers have an uninterrupted experience with her journey, as well as SBC is provided at the guard who saved her from the flood? So back to our presentation, what exactly is Wolfberg? Wolfberg is a bank association that founded by the global leaders. For example, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Barclays, and Citi. What exactly are we trying to do to utilizing federated learning AI to help of the partner bank to train with the fraud patterns? Of the local model will send all the fraud pattern to the local system and loop back that fraud system to help train the local model. All the sensitive information we always say in the bank, just the fraud pattern. This MOU can be founded by collaboration as in the bank, as we are seeing that this is not just a topic that banks need to compete on each another, but it's more about collaborate to help to build better environment for our customers. These are the fraud patterns examples which can be used. As I mentioned, all the sensitive data must stay in the bank. Of the federated models we're trying to do to help train AI with the fraud pattern. Now, we already have the successful model training. What about performance monitoring, Bam?
Thank you, Elle. To ensure that the performance of our AI model is continuously optimized, we would like to introduce you to real-time accuracy auditors, where we will be using every identified risk assessments to be compared against 2 models. First is HSBC internal model, and second of all is Neptune model. We'll be able to verify HSBC model by detecting similarities or discrepancies between the answers, which we will receive in the output of percentage of hallucinations, how grounded is our AI, and second of all, bias mitigation steps if needed. With Neptune, we'll be able to reboost our model reliabilities and be able to detect issue faster. With these 3 key levers, we can successfully ensure that the accuracy of our dynamic risk assessment is increased significantly. Moving on to the sales strategies. In sales strategies, the key question here is how do we efficiently enhance the efficiency of the verifications layers? So, after being flagged as a medium risk, the customer will have to go through an additional verification steps to see if her transactions would be approved or not. Let's meet L again. After she's being flagged as a medium risk, she will need to complete another biometric verifications to ensure secure authentications for her. However, the current deepfake system are able to bypass the current HSBC verification system in these three key areas: 3D depth sensing, texture analysis, and motion analysis. However, with the current technologies on hand, there are two key areas that deepfake aren't able to do so well, which is off-putting visual cues, showing a mismatch of vocal and facial expressions, as well as mispronunciations. Since AI are trained in a large data set, they often mispronounce certain words. With this, we pose a great opportunities for HSBC to leverage these key vulnerabilities to improve the current system. However, we know that AI is constantly evolving, and HSBC would find it really difficult to keep up. Therefore, we must invest in partners who are specialized in this field and are able to keep up with the new technologies. But who exactly would that be? With the 5 largest players identified, 3 have aligned with HSBC, and when considered of ease of implementations and long-term impact, we see that BioID poses the perfect partner for us as they are able to keep up with trends and up to date with the deepfake technologies. To summarize, after the customer have been flagged as a medium risk, they will be asked to complete the verification system. But with BioID, her with facial expressions and voice liveliness will also be taken into considerations of evaluations, whether she will pass and her transaction will be approved, or it's fail and pass on to be human verified. With our strategies, we have 3 key areas to tackle: just-in-time warning to reduce authorized push payment, Wolfsburg interbank partnerships to improve our dynamic risk assessment, as well as Neptune fine-tuning, and BioID partnerships to enhance the verification part as the last gate before transaction is approved. With this, we propose you a winning strategies for HSBC.
Now, with the 3 key strategies comes the 2 North Star KPI. After implementing the 2 strategies, just-in-time warning and Wolfsburg data MOU, HSBC will be able to achieve decrease in false negative rates of up to 19.1%. And after partnership with BioID, HSBC will be able to achieve 99.5% accuracy in face scanning, and this number has been reported by MasterCard, which is a customer of BioID. Over $487 million will be from fraud loss will be prevented in 2030 after the bank adopt the 3 strategies, and F&R rate will be down to 19.1% ahead of the industry benchmark. Capital expenditure of $44.5 million will be spent throughout the time frame, with around 14.5 million OPEX each year, with the following key assumptions that I'm happy to go through further during the Q&A. Now, for the implementation steps, there are mainly 3 things that HSBC has to take. First is set the base by setting up MOU with Wolfsburg and train current state-of-the-art AI that HSBC currently own. Second is launch just-in-time warning for customer at risk. And lastly is to create feedback loop so HSBC can take in feedback from customer so we can improve the predictability of false alarms. The high risk posed by this strategy is the AI ingesting poor quality data and mess with the system that we currently have, but this can be easily mitigated by setting a data vetting gateway just before inputting anything into the system.
So with HSBC's current state, it looked into its ideal goal to be a continual industry forefront in fraud detection through our co-strategy. To recap all in all, where it is currently now. In order to help Elle, our HSBC customer, we looked at her journey into two main parts, the pre-phase and the during phase. As for the pre-phase, what we did is we look at the two type of frauds, and we identified the first key opportunities in the authorized push payment frauds, which is rooted from one's overestimation of their own ability to look at AI. Therefore, this is our first key question that we have said earlier. What preventive defenses can HSBC build to stop authorized push payment scams? Presented to solve that problem, we present the first strategy of GET in order to implement a just-in-time warning as preventive defenses. And secondly, as for the during phase, we looked at the current fraud detection system into 3 layers, and we identified that it is an inefficient use of resource if we tackle all 3 problems or the last of human in loop. Therefore, it's present the best opportunity to improve efficiency of the top 2 layer, being the dynamic risk assessment and verification process, as it automatically reduces the volume that reaches the last layer. Therefore, it's second key questions that we have identified. How can HSBC enhance its efficiency of its dynamic risk assessment and verification, giving you the optimal solution with our second strategy of SET in order to develop the dynamic risk assessment and sale of enhancing verification process. With this, presented to you the COAST strategy.
For our first strategy is how it will work before our customer submit her transaction into HSBC application. She might have a chance to get fraud detection notification that pop up on her screen, doing by the real-time risk assessment, as well as utilizing explanation AI, which both align on the current existing AI model that HSBC currently have. By doing this, we can make sure that we can help our customer just in time to reduce authorized fraud payment. For our second strategies, we're seeing that it's also vital for HSBC to enhance its efficiencies, especially in dynamic risk assessment, based on the 3 pillars. By utilizing the gold standard AI model that HSBC currently owning right now, we can use all this model to fine-tune other model with the fraud patterns from the Wolfberg by utilizing federated learning AI that help other banks to help more fraud patterns from around the globe, not just from Hong Kong. For the last one, we aim to do the performance monitoring by do invest equities in Neptune AI to help do accuracies auditor AI that provide us to reduce hallucination percentage as well as mitigation biasness.
In terms of verifications part, we ensure that we will be seeing the current pain point that deepfakes are able to bypass the current HSBC verification system. And because the technology is evolving at a rapid rate, HSBC should partner with specialized players who are able to capture these changes and provide the best securities for our customers. With this, we propose you the partnership with BioID, at its initial stage, providing an API software to leverage on our current existing verification system. But because technology is always changing, they could be also adapting, as well as HSBC, co-learning in the futures. So even when deepfake vulnerability change, HSBC will still be able to combat them with a 99.5 biometric verification rates.
And lastly, with the 3 key strategies comes the 2 North Star KPI, as what I mentioned. Over 487 million of fraud losses will be prevented, and FNR rate will be down to 19.1%, leading the industry in this area.
Proudly, today HSBC remain with its main objective to intend as the industry forefront in fraud detection. Tomorrow, with our strategy, it will unlock the door of HSBC with our co-strategy of either proposing a preventive protocol of just-in-time warning, something HSBC have not done but proven to be effective. And our second part of improving the fraud detection system, the first level of risk dynamic assessment, where we integrate Wolfberg's interbank system and also the performance monitoring of Neptune. And as for the second layer of verification process, we propose to you to implement and partner with BioID, allowing HSBC to combat any vulnerabilities or any rapid involvement that AI propose to you. With our strategy of get, set, and sail under co-strategy, HSBC will be able to evolve beyond Victoria Harbor towards victory. Presented to you by Prosper Consulting. Thank you so much for listening, and now the floor is open for Q&A.
Thank you, team, for your presentation. We will now move forward to the Q&A session. Q&A session starts now.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Can you tell me, in your financial model, did you account for increased staff costs for the human intervention on your third tier there?
Okay, so we have taken that into account. We plan to use a staff that currently validates AI fraud detected. So currently, HSBC sends a portion of its request to these staff. So it's basically adding these AI layers to help send more of these to the staff. We're not going to be hiring significantly more number of staff. Rather, we're going to utilize the current staff that we currently hire. So it's not an incremental cost, but definitely is in the cost.
Since BioID is a partnership is quite key, how much is that for this partnership?
Okay, so we plan to spend $12.5 million in terms of system development. Out of those $12.5 million, $8 million will be spent on partnership with in equity partnership with BioID, and the remaining $4.5 million will be spent on data fine tuning, as it will probably get more data into the system, and we will have to fine tune with our AI model that we have.
Their partnership is based on the number of customer base that you charge, or how would they charge?
Okay, so can you go to the HSBC portfolio? Okay, so usually when HSBC wants to use an AI model to help modify what they do, they usually do an equity partnership rather than just using the service. Maybe it's because of the security that the bank wants to have. So we propose the same. So we buy an equity in them, and then we do a strategic partnership with them when we use their service, not based on the volume or not based on other metrics that the bank will have.
And also another question is, you always mention about Wolfsburg, that 15 banks. And that 15 banks, I assume is very global focused. But the customer behavior, the fraud will be very localized. Do you think that Wolfsburg's standard will apply to Asia or apply to Hong Kong?
Okay, so when we look at the locations where HSBC operates, HSBC operates in so many countries around the world. In fact, HSBC operates in all continents in the world, and we want to make sure that the data that we get comes from similar locations. And that's the reason why we focus more on Wolfsburg rather than the Hong Kong Bank Association, where it only has 3 banks, which is Standard Chartered, Bank of China, and Hong Kong, where it has the limited geographical reach, and also retail banking characteristic is quite different from what HSBC currently do. So it's probably going to be different sets of data.
For the FL project, what do you think is the key challenges, and also how you estimate the costs, not only for HSBC but also for all the partners that join in the same project?
Okay, so currently Wolfsburg is more like a membership where it has 13 banks, including HSBC. HSBC is also one of the founders of Wolfsburg. Currently, the activities that they do is they share trends on what's happening in the banking world. So the data that will be supported into the system will come from the bank, and the bank will, each bank will be responsible for submitting the fraud data into this centralized system. For the centralized AI model, it will be paid by each bank in the system that wants to use this. And something similar has also been done in the past, especially with Wolfsburg, but it's not related to fraud. But most of the banks are willing to engage in such activities.
How about the cost?
Okay, the cost for implementing this, we have looked at companies in other locations, not specifically banking, but very similar is telecom. A telecom group company in Southeast Asia has done something similar. The cost of implementing is around $50 to $60 million US. But then, as we see that we're going to use like the information that we get is going to be a lot less in volume compared to that. We have factored down and included in the 12 million that we plan to use.
Yes, so to add on with the remaining time, we present to you the core strategy of 3 parts: get, set, and sail, where we apply preventive protocols and just-in-time warning in order to reduce the authorized push payment fraud and to help L out. And a second part, what if they have access to L's account and L is not the one who got tricked? We have the second part, where we apply and enhance the efficiencies of the current fraud detection system.
Q&A time is up. Please stop. This is the end of your presentation session. Thank you, Prosper Consulting.